but now it's time for a kinder, gentler world. And
Yep.
if COVID has taught us anything, let's take the good side out of this. When the light comes around again, let's be there to bask in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Welcome to Settling's Not an Option. I'm Adam Nebbs, and I'm here with my co-host Amanda Stanhope. This show is for anyone out there who feels like they've settled for an unfulfilling life. Whether you've settled in a relationship, the work that you do, or how you feel about yourself, we're here to tell you that settling's not an option. If you're liking the show, please follow us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any feedback about the show or want to recommend a topic, you can email us at cheerstoNotSettling@gmail.com. Finally, if you feel so inclined, you can donate to us on Coffee, where we're aiming to buy some new audio equipment. Today's guest is Alden, who's the founder and CEO of Heart to Heart Business, which aims to bring heart-based businesses into the mainstream through networking, storytelling, and human connection. What we found to be really inspiring about Alden is his passion, which you can see throughout his LinkedIn profile and some of the recommendations he has from colleagues, both past and present, the posts that he writes daily, and just what drives him to bring about a better world through the business he runs. Also, he's Canadian. We all know how I feel about Canadians, so enough said, he's just a top human being. Welcome to the show, Alden.
Thank you for that, and all Canadians, thank you for that.
Yes.
I just love Canadians. Like, I don't know, every single time I connect with somebody on LinkedIn in particular in Canada, they're always so welcoming. So it was nice to see, obviously.
Yeah, I have to admit.
So first question, just jumping in, obviously mentioned that you've started Heart to Heart Business. So we'd just love to know a little bit more about it and why you chose to start it.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'll tell you why I started it in the first place. Okay. I owned an international language school here in Nova Scotia, Canada, in rural Nova Scotia, in Lunenburg, along with my wife, and we ran this business for 10 years. I started in 2012, but my wife has been doing it since 2010.
Okay.
She came to me and she said, "I want to go big." I said, "Okay, let's do it. We're going to scale, and we're going to bring in, we'll bring in people from all over the world," and that's exactly what we did. In 2019, we decided that we needed to get to the next level, so we brought in new ownership, deeper pockets, a little bit more exposure, and they did an admirable job until COVID hit, which basically really affected the international education business as a whole, whether you're in the UK or South America or United States or Canada.
Yeah.
It really took the wind out of our sails. A lot of businesses folded. Credit to the new management team. We're still running.
Good.
So we're going there. So we had a confrontation with the new ownership, and I said there had to be a better way for us to do business together, rather than looking at things from our own perspective, rather than looking at it from a much bigger picture.
Yeah.
And so I woke up the next morning thinking, you know what? There's got to be a better way to do this. It's not the way I personally like to run business. We're always in the business of people, and we strongly believe that, because if we look after our people, we know that they're going to come back. We know that they're going to say nice things about us. We know that they're good. The ripple effect is going to go through the world.
Sure.
And so I woke up over Christmas and I said, maybe we need an attitude adjustment in business. Maybe we need to go in a new direction where, protect the bottom line. Don't get me wrong.
Well, sure.
But maybe there's more to your day-to-day going to work, getting up, living with purpose, having work-life balance. All of those things, maybe those are important in a world that's becoming super stressed. And, and hyper stressed, really, if you think about where we're at right now with COVID.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I think, honestly, that we've had a lot of really great stories come out of COVID, really heartwarming stories, but there's also the other side of COVID, which has been very, very difficult for a lot of people. There's been a lot of domestic issues. There's a lot of Obviously, finances. People strained for finances.
Mm-hmm.
And it's created a untenable situation in certain households. So we are looking at maybe when work is over and done with for the day, there may be another way to look at your life and not be so much about what you do, but be a little bit more about who you are
Sure.
as a human being.
Yep.
And that's it, basically. And that's basically how we got here.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So
Now,
what does that look like on a daily basis?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I worked in the international education business, I had a lot of friends internationally. So just basically people in every country. So when I came up with the idea, or every continent, so when I came up with the idea that we could do a worldwide movement, a grassroots movement,
Okay.
by bringing in businesses who will adopt our credo, which is not really that difficult to get into. It's a series of 5 or 6 questions. Do I love my job? Do you love what you do? Are you super ethical? Do you treat people right? And so on.
Okay.
You could become a member of H2HB and run an uber ethical business. So we thought this would be a way for us to push kindness, respect, and love within our businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and just push that out over the world.
Yep.
Because we have people in, like I said, we have people in every continent. Not in Australia yet. So Australia, if you're listening,
There you go, Adam.
we're looking for people down under. That comes from up over.
Yeah.
Call ourselves up over, and we're looking for people down there. So basically, we want to change HR policy. We want to change the way people do business. We want people to look at their lives from a full holistic point of view. We're going to have mentoring. We'll have business coaching. We'll have all kinds of support, coaching. And these are people in my network who just want to help. Now, we'll be able to monetize them, but they're going to be giving a fair share of their time also
Sure.
to this program. We just want a kinder, gentler, more inclusive workplace that hopefully when we start with small business, because let's face it, it's small business that basically runs the world.
Yeah.
To spread that out throughout the world and create, I guess, a change in culture.
Yeah. So it's really a place.
It's a big undertaking.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like it. But it's kind of a place for these businesses to go that maybe they want to integrate this type of environment into the culture of the company, but they don't know how to do it or where to start. It sounds like
that's a very good point, Amanda.
Through that.
Exactly. Because given the choice, if you want to be a nice person or a horrible person, most people want to be a nice person. Right. Most people want to do generally what's right. So we will provide you with technological knowledge.
We got in the background there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It sounded really cute.
No, that's good. This is the Zoom culture now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's coming to the fold.
That's my 3.5-year-old. Yeah. So we want to create it. We while in addition to changing the culture, we want to be able to change the culture from within. We want people to we want to help them in business, because a lot of the reasons why small business have failed is because they didn't have a technological outlet to be able to handle their closing of their doors. Yeah. So we want to help them expand their networks. We want to get them involved with an e-commerce, with a networking group of like-minded, heart-centered individuals and their allies who will buy from them and who will trade, buy, and sell amongst themselves.
Okay.
But the beauty, I think, of it all, because we're going to be a membership-driven organization with fees, is that part of those fees are going to go back into your community for worthwhile projects in your community.
Okay.
So therefore, if you are living in, give me a town in Australia, small town, maybe 25,000 people. Where?
Hobart.
Okay, Hobart. So you're in Hobart, and say we have 25 H2HB businesses down there. Okay, so they'll pay a yearly fee to be involved with us, and then part of those monies, along with fundraising and donations, will go back into maybe Hobart, and we'll do programs like school lunches, or we'll give money to homeless shelters. So we do that. So it creates a positive feedback loop with the businesses actually who are supporting charities and reasonable, or not reasonable, but organizations that are helping your own communities. When they get funding from that,
Right.
if I'm sitting there and I'm looking
Right.
at ABC grocery store who's giving money for my lunch program, I'm going to start shopping at ABC grocery because they're doing something for my community.
Right.
And we'll make sure that those businesses in those communities get the proper, they'll get all of our support from wherever we are, certainly from the country support, and certainly from head office support, which will be run here in Canada, to promote exactly what we're going to do and to fundraise during that time to support any program that we happen to choose to be worthy at that particular time.
Okay.
That's really the beauty of it.
This is a big undertaking.
It's a huge undertaking.
I'm starting to see the enormity of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a big thing because it's a cultural shift.
Yeah.
And how to do that is within businesses, because if you hit a critical mass of businesses in a small town, other businesses are going to be forced to keep up with competition by improving their services, by providing a happiness manager, or doing something that actually allows people to want to do business with them rather than doing business with an H2HB business.
Yeah,
so essentially we're forcing those people to be more ethical, to be kinder, to be gentler, and to give back to the very people that they are actually receiving monies from for staying in there and doing business in there.
Yep.
In that particular town, that particular municipality, or that country.
I love it.
I think it's a very interesting way of doing it, because I think now, especially with COVID, people want to they want to buy into businesses that have purpose, because that's the big thing now. And everything we do, there's always that kind of, well, okay, no worries, it's a supermarket, but what's it doing? What's a bigger thing? Like one company I think about that's, gained a lot of traction in, I think Australia, I imagine Australia, but down in Hobart is Zambrero, right? And so for every meal that I buy, they donate a meal to people that are starving, right?
I'm going to need to talk to those people.
Yeah, it's a beautiful concept,
Exactly.
And they have a running tally in each of the stores telling you how many meals they've donated, and it's millions, Such a beautiful kind of business philosophy. So not only am I enjoying the burritos, because the burritos are fantastic, but also at the same time, I'm walking away thinking, well, look, McDonald's is just down the road, or KFC, not bagging them out, but like I feel like I'm giving back more than just, than say if I went to McDonald's or KFC.
It makes the food taste better. It makes the food taste better. You're doing something good for it, and good for those people down there. And please pass along my name and number to them.
I will. Yeah, look, I'm going to jot that down. We'll bring it to Australia.
Exactly, and it happened because of here.
Well, and not even the customer side either, because I'm reminded of, I've been hearing a lot of press about businesses having a hard time hiring people right now to get people to come back after COVID. And I imagine part of your program would help with that too, because of course people would want to work for an H2H business over another business. So is that kind of part of what you're trying to do too?
Well, it's interesting, Amanda, because we have a certain demographic. The people that know us, who understand us, are people, this is a generalization. We're only looking at demographics. I'm not looking at anybody in particular. So when we look at people that accept what our broad concept of what's happening, are people who are in the wellness industry, people that are in health, teachers, people with a high empathy IQ or EQ, and the under 30s.
Yeah.
It's the under 30 group who's brought up highly idealistic by boomers for the most part, and not boomers, but Gen Xers. and who are exactly.
That's
So
me.
these are the new group. These are the new young people that are coming up. They're highly idealistic.
Yeah.
They understand how the world works. They understand how technology works. So they're going to be the ones leading us into this whole into this new shift of consciousness and technology. They're the ones that are going to be showing us how to do this. And as a boomer, like I am, we need to provide wisdom, and we need to provide knowledge, and then we need to provide guidance, and then we sort of need to just sort of like get out of the way and let these people do what was meant to do, so real change can happen.
Yeah.
I saw that you said that on LinkedIn the other day, or you shared that video of that high school graduate, I think it was. And you said boomers just lead and share some wisdom and get out of the way. I know, it's so true.
You've made your money. You've done well. You've hoarded. And I'm one of them. So I get it. But now it's time for a kinder, gentler world. And if COVID has taught us anything, let's take the good side out of this. When the light comes around again, let's be there to bask in it.
That's right. Yeah.
I love that. Well, we did an episode recently. We had one of Amanda's friends, Sergio, come in, and he was a Gen Z. So it's kind of Amanda, the Gen X, I'm a millennial, Sergio is a Gen Z. And we were talking to what you're saying, that the generations have always kind of been like, right, well, I'm a baby boomer, or, so I'm just going to kind of focus on what's important to me and my generation. I'm not going to listen to those damn millennials or Gen Zs or whatever it is. But we talked about the importance of those, different generations harmonizing and working together, because everyone has different strengths, So I think that's really important to say, is that the baby boomers have a lot of wisdom and knowledge to pass on. So at the same time, millennials can't say, okay, maybe you're not as good with technology, again, generalizing, but, so I'm not going to listen to you. There's a lot of wisdom there that the millennials and the next generation need to tap into as well.
I could not agree with you more. And I think when we all sit back and look at this in another generation and look back at this time, and we're going to say, oh, you know what? The timing is right, because the boomers I'm at the tail end of a boomer. So boomers are now moving away from the workforce, and they're going to be moving away from Earth, let's face it, soon, within the next generation. Mm-hmm. But certainly their influence in the business world is going to be waning. And then there's going to be this huge influx of transfer of wealth and property to the next generation.
Yeah.
What we do with that wealth, and with all that wealth, will determine in some ways how we evolve as a society. And if we use that money in the right way, or that influence or that wealth in the right way, and we give some of that to the under 30 group, or the 30 group and under right now, who's going to be making change in the next generation. Yeah. It's going to be very uncomfortable for boomers, but it's going to be, you don't have change without some sort of uncomfortability.
Of course.
Anytime there's change, some eggs are going to get broken. That's just the way change happens. And we haven't had a shift like this since maybe, I would say, the 60s, where we had that huge movement, which also came in with the informational age. Yeah. But now we're on a quantum leap compared to that now, with information and just the amount of data that we have access to, and where technology is going to be going. Yeah.
So where do you see it going in your crystal ball over there? Where do you see, or I guess, and not even where do you see it going, but how do you see COVID impacting where we're going next?
Okay, that's a good question, Amanda, because I think what COVID has done, let's forget about the social issues that we're all having within our homes, and what we need to do to really examine ourselves, and not so much the bottom dollar, which is the second part of your question. Yeah. But we need to be able to look after ourselves, our wellness of ourselves, our well-being is so important. And we've noticed that's been suffered over this time. We realized, what have we been doing for the last 2 generations or 3 generations? In fact, you can go way back, because we're not actually working less or harder or more. It's just that we're getting more and more stressed in the workforce.
Right.
And people are just looking at their jobs as a source of existence.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be that way. One of the things I always say, if you have a good bed and you enjoy your job, there's 2/3 of your life looked right after. There's 2/3 of your life that you don't even have to worry about.
That's right. Yeah.
So I had a conversation with a coach from Finland today, and we were saying, I'm diverting, I'm tangenting here. He said, so if you had a, why are we spending as much money on our beds as we are on our cars? Because if you're going to spend 6 to 9 hours in a room or your bed, why not make it the most luxurious thing that you could possibly own?
That's right.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. So.
Well, no, but that is a good point, because even just sleep is so important. And I think sleep even has been put on the back burner so much because there's all this, work 16-hour days and all this pride in if you could get 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night and go on that. And I feel like maybe that's going to hopefully go away a little bit.
I certainly hope so.
I certainly hope so too.
I think so too, because if you do have your job satisfaction and you do have a comfortable bed, it's those 8 hours between those two things that you really have to look at.
Yeah.
So what is that? That's your well-being. That's your family. These are your relationships. This is your mental health. Mm-hmm. So if you are happy if you are happy at the workplace and you feel fulfilled at what you're doing, then wouldn't it be great if you went home and be able to take all that great feelings to your spouse, to your kids, to yourself, like be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Get your sleep, be with friends, eat the good food, enjoy the wine, go out there and enjoy life. That's what we're here for. We're not here to work. We're here to part of living is work, but we're not here just to work.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think moving to get to the second part of your question, Amanda.
Yeah.
What does technology do? What's technology going to do? Well, I think the knowledge industry is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
The knowledge industry is going to go crazy. We're going to be doing more things right like as we're doing them right now. Don't get me wrong. Someone's still got to come to your house and build your deck, but someone's going to build a better deck. Someone's going to do something better because they're going to have more time to be looking at how can I make this better?
Right.
How can I make this more sustainable? How can I do this without chopping down the trees in the Amazon?
Yeah.
So people are going to be looking at things and saying, and then it's hopefully it snowballs through education, snowballs into eating better, looking after your mental well-being, looking after your physical well-being, and then your life should be fairly idyllic. Now we know that's not always the case, but at least we're going to give everybody a fighting chance that's in our program to be able to acknowledge that the goodness that can come from this is there for you. All you have to do is make the decision to reach out and grab it.
Right.
Music to my ears, this stuff, like especially around the work and the positive impact that can have, not just to the community, but in your home life and all those things. Because I think that's something that's missed, and we talk about this on the show a lot. And obviously having understanding for why people settle and stay in work that's not fulfilling for them, because sometimes you don't have that opportunity. You might not be lucky enough to just be able to go out and find what's right for you. So we have the utmost understanding for those people. But for people that do have the opportunity, to step out and maybe do something more meaningful, that's so powerful. And I think about, to your point of just fulfilling work, it's like that's a protective factor for your mental health. Like if you are enjoying what you do, you get out of bed every day and you think, I'm living with purpose, I'm giving back to my community. It doesn't feel like work because you're like, I'm just getting all the rewards I need, and it's good for it. It flows out to everyone. And I just think people need to appreciate that doing work, as you said, just existing at work and kind of almost adhering to this culture of busyness. I just see so many folks around that are just so busy for the sake of being busy, telling everyone, I love how busy I am, just stressed out, exhausted. And I'm like, we need to disconnect from that. Like that's the new age that I hope we move to after COVID settles, I guess. where we're actually living in the way that you're talking about. It just sounds very, the next step after COVID, I think, is that.
Well, it looks like it seems quite utopian to talk about it in certain ways. But you brought up another good point about it's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to be that. But if you are a manager, a decision maker, a corporation, or a business owner, you have the ability to bring those into your business so the people that you hire can actually be able to enjoy those very things that we hold so highly.
That's right.
So maybe that's putting a cafe in your shop. Maybe that's putting a couple of treadmills in there. Maybe it's allowing you, to get up and walk around when you don't when you feel like you've been sitting down too long, or depending on what type of work you're doing. But make sure and this is what we want to do, because we know that higher up the ladder we go into middle-sized businesses and into larger corporations, these values are really difficult to keep to become accountable for.
Yeah.
So we also want to influence HR. So we want to influence people that are in that environment so that we can actually have this ripple down. Is it going to look like the mom and pop doing theirs with the 5 employees? No, it's going to look differently. It's going to look differently, but is it an improvement over what they've been doing before? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well said.
Yeah.
Well, slight change of direction.
Sure.
Just kind of talking about your posts, and Amanda obviously mentioned one earlier. I noticed looking through your feed that a lot of the kind of common threads of the post is gratitude.
Yes.
So I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that and why you think gratitude's so important in life and whatever it is, in the work you do, in your home life. It's quite a big question, but I'm just curious to pick your brain on that.
Well, that's a big one, right? Gratitude and service, basically, to me, they go together. Okay. So if you're providing service, and I'm not talking about customer service, I'm just talking about doing service within your community, on your street, your church, no matter how you pray, or out in the world.
Or even just holding a door open for someone.
Even just holding a door
smiling at
open.
someone, like something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this changes from culture to culture, how that is perceived, but there is no doubt that service is service. Mm-hmm. So when you give, and don't give until you can't give anything else, protect yourself, always protect yourself, but give where you can and do what you can. And, and I don't want to get too esoterical, but, there's, I guess the word people would like to use, that good karma is coming your way. And but it's just good. If someone's being good to me in my block or in my building, I'm going to make sure that person is personally looked after in some way. I don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be a conversation. It could be like, hey, let's go for a pint after work, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. It's just to be grateful and to give. To serve people is probably the greatest thing that we can do in our lives. You can have all the money in the bank, but I'm sorry, but if you're a bit of a donkey, no one, no one's going to show up to your funeral, no matter how many people you pipe it up through Zoom. Right. So, but if you're a good person and you've made a footprint in people's hearts, minds, and souls, what else are we here for? Are we here to work 12 hours a day?
Right.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, it depends on what you're working for. Some people feel passionate about helping people, and making working 12 hours a day for them is nothing, because they believe that's their life's work.
Right.
That's what they were here to do. But if you're working 12, 14, 16 hours a day and basically not being able to look after your family, not being able to look after your own health, then you're doing a disservice to. Maybe at 40 or 45 you make it. Maybe you got $1 million in the bank. Great. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I just hope you're able to enjoy it.
Right. Well, that reminds me of something you said earlier, too. You mentioned something about a happiness coach. I think you called her a happiness manager.
Yes.
So what is that? Because that sounds like maybe that's a little part of gratitude there.
You're going to see a lot more of this popping up, as the more people that I'm talking to say, oh, we actually have a happiness manager, or
really?
a chief happiness officer, CFO, or CHO. And
CHO,
so,
I love that.
yeah, there are people out there who are actually doing that, and they're really excited about it. We have a lovely woman in Switzerland, and she runs an engineering firm,
Okay.
and she works in Italy and Switzerland. Her
Yep.
name is Rita. Excellent woman. This person is doing exactly what we're doing for her company. And it would be very easy when we said, well, hey, how would you like to do Switzerland and Italy? And she said, give it to me. And she's a go-getter. And the other great thing about it is that her and her husband are like left hand and right hand.
Okay.
You know?
Yep.
It's just perfect how they work off each other and how they can, and then all of their employees are connecting with me on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And it's just very, very interesting to see that somebody who's taken our concept and is already doing it. So there's people
Yeah.
out there doing it, and there are people out there that love their business and are doing it already. Like let's not make
Well,
this.
sure. Right.
Let's not say that this is not currently happening, because it
Right.
is. What we want to do is bring everybody together. We have an international group of people who can get in your face and say, "Hey, become an H2HB company. We're going to go and we're just going to blanket your continent, your country, your first of all, your municipality or your township or whatever you guys call it, wherever you're from,
Right.
and then move that outwards into districts, provinces, states, and just move it out from there. That's part of the reason why we're doing this brand awareness. So when we do roll out, or we plan to roll out on June 21st, but on June 20th or June 1st, we're going to start ramping up. So you get a little bit more information about what we're doing. And again, it's like you said, Adam, we're bringing awareness and we're allowing people to say, hey, what is going on here? What can I do here? In the meantime, we're building up a serious network of people who really want to get involved. Yeah. So my phone rings every day with people saying, hey, how can I get this? I want to be a country manager. How do I do that? I said, fine. Send us your resume. We'll send us your social media links, and we'll take it to the executive committee, and then we take it to the leadership committee. And if we think that you've got what it takes to be a country manager, then welcome aboard.
Yeah. Well, that's very inspiring that there's a lot of people that are interested.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are interested, and I think it's such a big concept that it's a huge concept if you think about it. What you think about if you look at it from looking at the whole world, like it's almost too big to say, I don't know if I can do that or not. And I think COVID made us realize that because we're all doing this now, we're all connecting. We're all connecting here.
Yeah.
It's easy to do. We have an international network. Yep. I have trusted friends on LinkedIn that I've known for 10, 15 years who are saying, hey, what can I do to help? I want to do this. It doesn't affect my other job. I can dedicate X amount of time for you. And for those people, for the country manager people or the continent managers, they get the benefit of having a huge network. They have a benefit of promoting their own businesses in a network. So the monetary value for them is already built in to this program. So they're incentivized, not just because they're going to have a massive network to choose from, but they know that they have the opportunity to make change in their own town, country, and continent.
Yeah, that's huge.
It is huge.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know Adam had. Oh, did you? Sorry, Adam.
No, that's okay. You go.
I was just gonna say, I know that you have one burning question you want to ask before we get too long on time. But if you,
I don't even know which one it is. I've always got lots of questions. You know me.
You do. Your last question.
Was it? Oh, yeah. That's an important one. Yeah,
See, I got to keep this guy in line, Alden.
Yeah, that's your job, man. You're doing it. You're doing it, bro.
Yeah, so I had two other questions, but I might move to the last one.
Sure.
Again, going.
Oh, sorry, you had two other questions. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I added that.
Who's the editor? Who's the editor? You two.
Yeah, well, I edited this without actually telling Amanda. So again, communication, everyone's really key.
Yeah.
So the question on my mind as well is I watched a video about the seventh generations, which I didn't really know a lot about. And it was, you were hosting a webinar, and it was really, really obvious to me how passionate you were about it and how informed you were about it. So you're
Yeah.
talking specifically about racism and some of these big movements and the obligation we have to our kids. And it was also very lovely as well. And I can tie the other question into this. You read a really beautiful poem about our children and the way our children live and learn and things like that.
Exactly. Yes.
So I'm really, really keen to kind of just understand your background, and your appreciation for culture and why it's important to you, because I think that would all probably tie into the ethos of heart-to-heart business and that belongingness piece you were talking about earlier as well.
Yeah. Obviously, because of COVID, sort of shines a light on a lot of things, both positive and negative.
Yep.
So not that racism has ever gone away; it's always been there, and culturally, it's different from country to country. So as much as we all love Canada and we do have our issues here as well. And
Sure.
part of what I really liked about the 7 generations is we all bear witness from the grandmother down through these 7 generations. So what we teach our kids basically comes from the wisdom of the grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And and I've often said, if there was more women running the world, we would be in a lot better shape.
Yeah.
Adam says that all the time too.
We wouldn't be going to war. We would business. There would be no such thing as a glass ceiling. It would just be a lot of a gentler, simpler, and more beautiful world. To be honest with you, because the guy, us guys are from here, and the feminine energy comes from here. What Heart to Heart wants to do is blend that together.
Sure.
We want you to make good business decisions. We want you to be able to do it. We're just saying consult your heart.
Of course, yeah.
And as I think one of my posts said, let your heart make some decisions. The brain will pivot. The brain will pivot. The brain
that's a good
what
point.
to do.
Yeah.
So obviously, you don't have this type of mindset without, for me, being of a First Nations people in Canada, we want to make sure that everyone is treated equally. We want to make sure that everybody has the same amount of access to resources and basically everything that our governments have. And in Canada, we do a pretty good job. And but we do have some work to do, and we know that we have some work to do with inclusion, and not making the workforce such a place where you have to fit into a certain mold all the time. And this is just not about people of color. This is about people with hidden illnesses or silent illnesses, as they call them. This is for people who introverts. This is people who maybe don't speak so much, but have an EQ that's off the charts. These people are all useful to a business. It just takes management the ability to see that they exist and they are actually viable. Not only viable, but super important to any organization.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's where we were with that. But thank you for watching that. That was a racism forum that we do in my small town.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Something you do regularly?
Yes, I'm part of a racism task force here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we want to make sure. We basically want to know that we know that all the policy has been written. It's all been written. We need to give it teeth. That's the only. That's the only way it's going to work is if we make people accountable, and that's our job, is to make sure that the policy has teeth and that we act upon it. And that's the only way we're going to be able to make positive change. That and through education.
Yeah. Yep. You have a question, Adam?
It's not lost on me as well. Just, and this is another reason why I love Canada, because the work that I'm doing, so I'm studying at the moment and looking at workplace mental health. And obviously Canada being one of those very progressive nations that came together with a standard on psychological health and safety. What I love about Canada as well, I'm not going to turn this podcast into, a Canada love fest, but it's very much how humble Canada is, in that you guys are very progressive and you have been for a long time, but you're still saying there's a lot of work to do. There's no one I speak to in Canada who says, we're sorted. We came up with a standard years ago. Our workplaces are fine. It's all right, well, how can we get better? How can we continue to improve and stamp out as much of those harmful workplace toxic cultures that exist, because they will always exist. There'll always
Exactly.
be, bad eggs out there that will, contaminate what could be a good culture and things. So, it's not lost on me. I think this heart-to-heart business piece coming out of Canada, that's very much a country that's all about how can we get better, which seems to come also from government. I do notice a very nice, governmental structure where all these kind of values are there, whereas I always say Australia is certainly not one of those countries. I don't think
No.
America is either. Not that I know enough
Not
about
right
America.
at the moment, anyways. I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
Well, I think if we all look at our own countries, I think we tend to look at what's not going great, especially for countries like Australia and Canada, which have a very high standard of living. Canada has been in the top 1 or 2 for the last 3 or 5 years of the most desirable places to live, or have the highest quality of life.
Right.
So for Canadians to sit back and they say, what do we have to? Why do we have to wear a mask? Or why do we do this? Or why do we have to? Why did they take prayer out of the schools? Or why are we doing this and why are we doing that? Really, these problems are minor, but we will focus on them because we do have a life that's very good here.
Right.
We pay taxes, but we have strong social structures within our government framework that allows us to have an excellent education. It allows us to have excellent benefits if we need them. Through COVID, the government has been very, very generous. Now, how they're going to pay all this back, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But if you were a business, there was many incentives to keep you going during this horrible time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come from first world countries and countries that are based in, I would say, we used to call ourselves a socialist government. Socialism has become a bad word these days, so they've sort of taken that out. We're more of a liberal democratic government right now.
Yeah.
So I like that form of government personally. For me, that's how I sort of go. I'm a bit of a lefty. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you have these kind of concepts or these ideas if you're not. Really.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
If you care about your environment over, whether or not we should have another pipeline or, chopping down trees in a forest that's already just only been growing for 50 years, which is not enough time. So yeah, we have an environmental as well as could be considered a social responsibility, but we have environmental responsibility. We have a social responsibility. And Canada, I feel, is doing a very good job there. And yes, under the microscope, you could look at it and say, this is not right or that's not right. Of course. But really, I always say, try living somewhere else and see what it's like, and you'll soon come to realize that Canada is a great country to live in with really good people, and who are breaking it on their own now. We've always been in the shadow of the U.S. Quite frankly, that's always been the way it is. They're big and they're brash. They're our #1 trading partner. We can't help but somehow be influenced by their culture.
Sure,
we can't. We just can't.
Yeah.
So I love the Canadian identity, and I'd like to see us be a little bit more. We don't beat our chest as much as we should, but there's a quiet resolve there.
Yeah, but that's better, I would say.
I think so.
Exactly.
I think so.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, that's it from me. But Alden, if people want to connect with you, if they want to learn more about Heart to Heart Business, where's the best places to go?
Well, right now, until our website is up, which won't probably come out until June 21st.
Sure.
June 1st at the earliest. They can catch us at LinkedIn at H2HB, or they can get us on Facebook or Instagram. Just put in H2HB Business, and we should come up. And by all means, people that listen to podcasts generally are people that are on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Send us a connection, find out who your country manager is. And if you do want to get involved on a country level, send me a note.
Yeah, I'll definitely get all that contact information in the description for the audio and video here.
Please do.
Yes. So any other concluding thoughts? And otherwise, I'll wrap things up. Any other thoughts, Alden?
No, I'm good. I think you guys covered everything.
That's great. Yeah, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and appreciate the insights, and look forward to seeing where H2H is going to go.
That's awesome. I'm really happy. I'm glad you reached out, you guys. That was really nice. And Amanda, you have an interesting accent. I don't know where it's from, but
I'm from Michigan, but I don't have a Michigan accent.
No, where's
I don't know. I've always lived in Michigan, but everybody asks me where I'm from, and I'm like, Michigan.
Okay,
really? Oh, so I didn't know. I just thought that's how all Michiganians sounded.
Everybody in Michigan asks me where I'm from, and I'm
really?
like,
you sound. It's Midwestern. It's it's Midwestern in a sense, because I used to live in Minnesota.
Oh, sure.
And so it's kind of like that, but there's definitely a little twang to it.
I know. I don't know where it's from. So, I lived somewhere else in a past life. So
I know, but I love because we owned a language school. I love accents. So
sure. Yeah, you probably noticed.
Yeah, so it popped up.
So I don't know, but
the Australian accent always very charming.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's always.
It is.
Well, if that's it, then you guys, I'll get on.
Well, I'll wrap it or do a formal wrap up here. So we'll just thank the audience for sticking around. If you stuck around this long, we really appreciate it. And you can, of course, find us on LinkedIn, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. So definitely subscribe, comment, all the stuff that helps us get some traction. And until next time, we will say cheers to not settling.
Not settling. Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right.